Hello everyone. Today we are going to be doing a look at one of my games to show how you can get to T2 rapidly and without very any issues. Now keep in mind, Beyond All Reason is pretty fluid of a game, so not every single situation will work the same for you, and you might have a couple more complications if you're being heavily pushed and stuff like that. But if you have a rather docile front line that's not really too aggressive, then you should be able to do this no problem. And we're also going to be taking a look at another player in this match who has a heavily aggressed front line, and he's still able to get his T2 transition pretty early on. Now, I started out with a simple opening of 2 mexes and 3 or 4 windmills going into a bot lab. Now, my reason for bringing my bot lab up here is I want them further away from the geos, because geos late game could explode very powerfully, and I don't want that to destroy any of my stuff early on if I can help it. There might be a little bit of chain reaction here, but it's going to be a lot more minimal than if I start building too close to that. Most of these other players on the front, they did not make that decision, but that was just a slight concern I had. Starting out with the res bot, getting some of them energy crystals, those delicious juicy metal crystals. I think those are just energy, actually. I think yeah, just energy. Some crystals on the map have some metal mixed in here. Yep, but not on this map apparently. So we're just building up wind power. Obviously, we got our first T1 constructor. He's going into mexes and radar, just getting as much of that metal as we can. It's always important to get your first one going for mexes. That way you get the most mexes as quick as possible. And then we got our second one going into a little bit of a wind farm here, and then geo plants. And those geos are going to be really huge for consistent energy all the time. And of course, we're cranking out a bunch of grunts just to help with any early harassment we might be dealing with. And we're just gonna put this on repeat eventually. I think I end up forgetting though. Normally I try to get about like 3 grave robbers and like 15 grunts, 15 thugs, and just have that be the base of my army. Anyway, we're gonna speed up a little bit here because there's not a lot going on. We're just building up forces. There's no real harassment here. Building up mexes, reclaiming crystals, building up an economy, getting an energy storage. I don't think I really ended up needing that this game. My E was pretty on point. Let's take a minute to also look at my enemy here. He's got a con turret going up. He went vehicles, which can be difficult going for into vehicles with bots, but we have even more forces than him. In fact, if we had enough to kill his commander, we probably could have won the game there. But I think we didn't quite have enough units to snipe his commander yet. Blue, however, is putting in lots of work. Got a couple build turrets and several construction bots on the front line, and harassing on his side as well. So we're just maintaining front lines here, and we don't really have a lot that goes on here, honestly. It just is a pretty basic match. They end up poking us a little bit with their incisors, but they don't really do much damage. We have a huge pile of grunts in the back ready to do anything that we need. We send this guy back to start working on a T2 lab. We have tons of metal saved up, almost 1,000, and we have a decent front line. Now, I want to pause here, or not pause, but go ×1 speed. So I did want to mention that I don't really build that many defenses early, especially since I'm not being harassed and I am not really needing any extra help. Yeah, at this point, if I was to be harassed, I might build some light laser turrets up at the front, maybe Dragon's Maw, something like that. The pop-up flame turret, or maybe some walls. It just depends on what I'm dealing with on the front. but the more metal and resources that I spend, the less metal and resources I go into my T2. So we're about 70%, and Crack Pirate is about 16-17%. Now, to be fair, he is dealing with a lot more harassment on the front line. He's having to build some extra turrets and maybe a little bit more of an army, but he's got a little bit further to go on his T2 than I do. I think I have one of the earliest T2s as a frontliner. Yeah, I'm almost tied with our eco player. So, and as a frontliner, we produced a lot of units. Now, obviously, like I said, this isn't going to work every time. And you can see I'm out of metal, which kind of sucks. So in this situation, if you're out of metal, eat your T1 lab. You can get enough metal to finish off your T2. Then you can start cranking out your at least one T2 bot, and yeah, we'll get into that as we progress here. So yeah, you have options if you run out of metal like this. We know that this isn't ideal, right? We don't want to be wasting time sitting here building very slowly. But I end up going for energy conversion because I didn't really have very much of that, and I'm overflowing almost 200 energy, so that's several mexes worth of energy here. We end up going getting several free mexes essentially just from the energy conversion. So that's something, don't sleep on it. All of our team is overflowing energy, and that's essentially free metal that we're throwing away as a team. So it's very good to have energy conversion early on. It can be a significant advantage. Especially with these geoplants. These geoplants are going to be very, very powerful for you. Okay, we start getting harassed a little bit, and they have T2 at the front. It looks like their techer was probably a bit faster than us. Yep, they have their T2 up, and they just now got their T2 up, but they already have constructors out, and they're going for hounds for harassment. So I just do not want to get my army harassed here because I'm in the middle of transition. I want to get my construction bot out. I want to get my mexes upgraded, and then I want to go for T2 units. I don't really want to face off or push. So let's envision this. If I pushed him because he harassed me, what could happen? Well, I have how many grunts here? I have 13, and thugs. 13 thugs and 15 grunts. That's not a whole lot, honestly. And I can probably kill all of this. Maybe kill a commander. I don't think I'd be able to kill all of his tanks as well, especially with the hounds that are harassing me from the back. Because if I push forward, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna run back here and just keep shelling me. Pew, pew, pew. Shelling me the whole time. So there's no real way for me to kill these hounds unless they're not being microed. But that doesn't happen very often. Okay, so I just choose, you know what, instead of pushing into these defenses, pushing into his commander, pushing into his army of tanks, I'm just gonna fall back, give up my mechs, which does stink in the long term, or in the short term, but I have plenty of metal stored up. I can get my my construction out and go for these mexes, and I think that's way better in the long term. So let's keep going here. So we end up falling back, and if they keep harassing me, then I'm gonna push up and make sure that they have to think about it, right? It probably wasn't too smart. See, look at that. That wasn't smart. That's because I was busy microing my economy and I left them pushing on the front. It was pretty stupid on my part. So yeah, it would have been better not to do that. It would have been better to try to just micro a little bit more aggressively. I end up needing a lot of help here at the front, mostly because of a lack of micro. I was kind of APM stalled there, which really sucks. But I end up getting some assistance from my teammate here, and we got T2 bots coming out to shell as well. So we're gonna hold this pretty well, and then we'll also get the reclaim, which is really nice. Getting a couple nice D guns in there. So yeah, I played that really badly, honestly, and it's kind of embarrassing, but the T2 transition went very smoothly. If I had spent a little bit more time up front, I could have done better. Problem is, I was setting up all of my construction and stuff and getting some build power out, and it really slowed me down. Anyway, so we're gonna get a couple more D guns off, but yeah, essentially this is what I wanted to show you. Obviously, if you micro better, you'll have a lot better outcome, but he can no longer harass with his hounds. He can no longer push with his T1 because we have T3 creating damage on him. And at the front, we have other people just getting their T2 labs up, probably because they had a little bit more harassment. So we're ahead on the T2 game, which is good. It's always good to be ahead on the T2 as frontline if you can, because that gives you a little bit more firepower to work with. Anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful, and I hope it at least showed the concept of transitioning a little bit better. I know sometimes when I just make a video explaining, oh, do this and this and this, and then you don't really get to see how the game plays out itself, and that can be a little bit annoying and harder to understand. So hopefully seeing it happen in a normal game will maybe give you a little bit of idea of what I'm talking about. Anyway, hope this was helpful, and as always, I will see you on the battlefield.